Hello and welcome. My name is Nehemiah, and today we are going to learn Git and GitHub from the very basics to the advanced level. But then before we start, I kindly ask you guys to subscribe to this YouTube channel. You can also like this video and share this video to your friends or any other tech enthusiast. I will appreciate very much. Now, apart from this YouTube channel, we also have the X account or Twitter. We also have the TikTok page. We have the Facebook page, we have the LinkedIn page, the Instagram, it is nametech_official, but then other pages that I've mentioned, all the username there are nametech. Apart from the Instagram where it is nametech_official. Guys, you can follow me on these platforms. I will appreciate very much. Now on these platforms, we usually provide tech resources, tech materials, some code, some some mentorship sessions sometimes, and we also have the WhatsApp community, the WhatsApp channel. I think I will attach the link to in the description of this video, so that you can join us. And on that, you're going to find all the updates regarding NameTech, regarding some materials, some courses, some opportunities whenever they unfold. We'll be sharing there. So guys, you can join so that we can grow together, and also you can get inspired, you can get some knowledge, some skills on some tech fields. Now guys, with that, we are going to begin now Git and GitHub. But then we are going to begin by first of all understanding what is a version control, because Git is a version control tool. So a version control tool is a system that records changes to your files over time. So it allows you to recall specific versions later. Sometimes there's this meme that whenever it works, don't touch it. Like sometimes you can have a code or maybe a program that is working quite fine, but then later when you just add in something, even a comma or something, then everything is going to crash. Then how to recall where, for example, you made the mistake, it could be very hectic. But then with the version control system, once, for example, it works, you can save that instance. Then, for example, later when you do something and then maybe it doesn't work, you can always revert back to that version which was working well. So apart from that, it also allows multiple people to work on the same project simultaneously without overwriting each other's work. So this is very good. And you use the version control tool, first of all, to track changes in the history of your project. And then another thing is to collaborate with a team of members efficiently. And then also it allows you to revert to previous version whenever you need. And then also you can be able to experiment with new features safely, because it has something called the branches. We'll talk about that one today. And then also it allows you to maintain multiple versions of your project. So we have different type of version controls. We have the we have different type of the version control system, and we have the local version control system, which changes are stored just locally on your computer, and you'll be using a tool like Git. We have also the single server. We have the centralized version control system, where you have the single server that's going to contain all your versions. Then we also have the distributed version control system, where every user has a complete copy of the repository. And a good example is also Git. But the Git is a very powerful and the most popular used version control system, and that's what we are going to learn it today. So I said Git is a version control system, and that's what we'll be using it to track everything, or maybe that's what we're going to learn actually today. So the key concept or some terminologies that we are going to use here includes, for example, a repository, sometimes repo. Repo, this is a directory that contains your project and files, and the entire revision is to, like, for example, that folder where you will be initializing Git on it, it will be called a repository, a Git repository. Then we have something called a commit. Commit is like a snapshot of your repository at a specific point in time. A commit, like you're trying to save something. And then we have branch. but we are going to also talk about them. It's like a parallel version of your repository that diverges from the main working project, so that in case something happens, it is just within that branch. It's not affecting like your main project or maybe your main branch. And then now the working directory, this is the directory or the folder of your local machine where you are currently working at. So that's where mostly those are the terms that I'm going to use on this program, mostly on this video, actually on this course. Now we are going to begin by installing the dependencies. We are going to use Git, as I said earlier, is a very widely used or maybe a popular version control system. So how do you download Git? Before you use Git, you need to have Git in your system. But then how do you download it? So you can go to your browser and then at the search, just search for Git download. Git download. Just search Git download. Then the first link that's going to show up, it is the official link for Git. And you can see this link, it is git-scm.com. Then install. Actually, just search for Git download. Then I click the link that's going to show up here. And then it's going to take you to this page, and I'll have different like it is supported on different operating system. You can see it, it is listed here. We have the Windows, we have the Mac operating system, we have the Linux, and also we have built from the source or maybe so mostly the popular operating system that I guess you're using, either of this is either Windows, Linux or Mac operating system. This one that I'm using here currently is a Windows, so I'm going to demonstrate using the window. But then for Mac users, you know how you usually install your programs. Any open source program actually does the same thing. You're going to download, then once you download, you're going to move it to the application folder, then it'll be good to go. So I'm going to download this, select this window. Then I believe if you're having Windows 10 and above, and I believe a previous version of Windows, I don't think they are still supported. So probably you'll require this version here, this standalone, but then the 64-bit. I believe most systems usually use this one. So just select this here, Git for Windows. That is if you're using the Windows operating system that supports 64-bit. This one. So for me, I'm going to select this one, and then when I click on it, then I'm going to allow to specify where I want to download it to. I'm going to download it to the downloads folder, and then it's going to take some couple of minutes to download. Once it has completed, then I'm going to guide you on how to install it. Yeah, so once it is downloaded, then you'll need to go to the downloads folder. Like in this case for me, I downloaded and I went to the downloads folder, so I access it there. So this is it. Now once you have access to it, then you will double click. If you're on Windows, just double click to open that installer, the Git installer. I'm going to just double click on it. So once it opens, you can go through this the license, the general public license there. Then once you are comfortable with it, then you'll click on the next, and then select the directory where Git should be placed. So I'm going to use the default one here on the programs file. That's where I'm going to have the Git. Then I'll go to the next. So on this one, you have to make sure that this checked part, this checked stuff are maintained. Don't uncheck. But then what I can also tell you to add is this one, add a Git Bash profile to Windows Terminal. Yeah, so make sure that you do that. But then I don't click this check daily for Git for Windows update. Like whenever you're using such programs, and mostly whenever there's something new, probably there could be some bugs that they haven't noticed. So if you are updating to something new all the time, you might be encountering the first issues. Like sometimes you just want to have something that is quite stable before you use it. That's why for me, I always don't want these check daily for Git for Windows update. Like you might want to actually update them manually by yourself, not like it updates automatically. It can have some conflicts, some issues there. Otherwise, everything I'm going to leave them the way they are. Then I'm going to click on the next, and then I'll click here also on the next. Everything I'll leave them by default. Now on the branch, this one is going to use I'm going to use this one for let Git use default branch name, that is master. So whenever you're creating a branch, like you are trying to initialize a Git repository, so the branch that is going to be created for that case, it will be called master. Now you don't want to use the main, because main you might want to use it for your main projects, like where, for example, now it is serving your application on cloud. So you don't want to use main for especially for development or stuff like that. So here I'm going to use this one by default, the let Git decide. Then I will click on the next, and then I'll leave everything the way they are. So this one is going to add the Git to the path. So like this one, when you allow the third party, because we're going to use also an external, we are going to use an editor called the VS Code. So if you enable this one, then the VS Code will be able to use Git Bash. There's a program, the CLI in Git called Git Bash. So this one allows you to integrate it on any third-party software. So I'm going to just maintain the default one. Then I'll click on the next, next, and next. Just click on the next, and then next again, next, install. So I'm going to wait for it to complete the installation, and then once it does that, we have another software that we are going to use. It's called the Visual Studio Code. So you're going to go to the browser and then just search for Visual Studio Code download, or maybe just type VS Code download, VS Code download, Visual Studio Code download. And then the link has some blue icon. I don't know if they will change in future. Maybe you'll be watching the video in future. I don't know if they will change the logo, but at the moment is the link to it, and that is the logo, or maybe the icon that they have at the moment. And then you'll download for your operating system. So this one is Windows, so you select the Windows, but then for me I already have it, so I'll not need to do it again. But then once you have downloaded, just double click on it, then it's going to auto install. The same way you usually install any open source program. It's not much complicated. You'll just be clicking next till it completes, like just an open source program. So it doesn't have much there. Then I'm going to just click here on the finish, and then we are good to go. So once you have downloaded the Git, you have downloaded also the Visual Studio Code, then you're good to go. You're good to go. Of course, we will come to having a GitHub account in future, in a few, not in future actually. By the future could mean any time from now, but we'll come to it maybe in a few. But then I want us to confirm if we have Git in our system. So you can open any command line tool like PowerShell. Now remember, when you install it, it's going to come with Bash, but then we're coming to Bash in a few. But let's begin with the system command line. So if you're on Windows, it's called command prompt. Just type CMD or a command prompt, and then on the command prompt, type git --version. Then if you will see the version there, it will mean that you have it. Now it is git space then --version. Then when you click enter, it's going to list the version there. Now apart from the command prompt, you also have another on Windows called PowerShell. PowerShell is also a CLI, the system command line tool. On it as well, you can just type there git --version. I don't mean you need to do this on every version, but then just in case, for example, you don't have the command prompt, then you can try this PowerShell, because for Windows this is a must command line tool that is there. But then if you're using a different operating system, you can look for terminal. Just look for terminal. If you're on Mac, or maybe if you're on Linux, just search for terminal, and then on it you'll be able to type this command git --version, then you're going to see it. But then now the good thing is that when you install Git, it's going to come with version control tool as well. So these are universal. So the commands that you're going to write on the bash, it is applicable on Mac operating system. It's also applicable on Linux on operating system. So I'm going to search for bash, git bash. So this is the git bash, git bash, and then let me try to maximize and then zoom in. So again, the command there is git dash dash version. So on all of them, we're able to see the version of Git. So it means that it is installed successfully everywhere. Now the other thing that we are going to use here is the Visual Studio Code. I say that you download, and then you're going to install. Now when you install, you are going to let me try to open the VS Code. So when you open it, the Visual Studio Code, you're going to have an interface similar to this one, only that maybe you might be seeing some welcome screen or maybe something, maybe the theme, because for me I've configured it before, maybe the theme could be light or something, but then the interface is almost similar to this one. Now what you might want to do first of all is to configure the theme, because this one is very, because if you are a programmer like me, I usually code most of the time. So if you are on computer and then maybe the lighting is not quite good, it might affect your eyesight. So you might want to make sure that the environment where you are trying to write the program is not quite destructive, not like too destructive to your eyes. So you might want to make sure that you have configured the theme. So the VS Code, it has that thing to configure the theme. So you're going to go to the file, then preferences, then to the theme, then color theme, and then maybe you might be comfortable with the white light theme like this one, or maybe something else. So just select what you feel like it's good for you, but then also make sure that in the long run will not affect you. And then but then for me, I'm just comfortable with this one. I don't know why. And then the other thing that you're going to require is this auto save feature. Like when you're writing the programs, most of the time you need to save them. Like you'll need to go to the file, then click on the control plus S to save, or maybe just click on this button for save to save the files. But then this could be somehow hectic, because sometimes, let's say you have written just some parts of the code that that has made like your entire system to work well, and then all of a sudden this VS Code crashes before you had saved. Now when you open it again, now the undo or a redo will not work when you have closed this program. But then now the auto save feature, it means that anytime you're going to write anything there, is going to automatically be saved. That's why for me, this feature is a must for me anytime I'm going to configure this Visual Studio Code. So this is very key. So another thing, guys, that you need to do is to make sure that you have a working directory, like you have a place where you're going to work on. Like you need to be organized such that you're able to trace maybe which project is where and all that. So you can do that by the help of the directories or folders. So for me, like for example, as you can see, I'm organized. When you go to the desktop here, I have some folders there. And then for example, for these YouTube courses, you can say I have the folder for YouTube course, and then within it there's this SQL, there's React. So now I can be able to create another one called Git and GitHub here. I can just click there, then I can call it Git and GitHub. So you can see now for me to access these things is going to be much easier, because I've organized my stuff very well. So you might also want to do that, not only for code. Like sometimes, let's say you have the music, you have the videos, you have the images, you might want to sort them so that you can be able to access it easily. Now, for example, if you are in music, then maybe there are different type of genre or maybe categories. You might want to select what fits you. Like you might want to have them in subdirectory or folders to make sure that you can be able to access them quite easily. Like I don't just cut everything. And don't cut everything. I know by default you'll be downloading things and then it will be going to the downloads. But then when it goes to the download, make sure that you later move it to a specific directory. That's why you can see for me on the downloads, I don't have much information there, because I just use this path for downloading stuff. But then after I've downloaded, if I want to save that file or maybe video or whatever, then I'll need to move it to a specific directory that I'll be able to access them quite easily. So now for me, I have saved here on the desktop. It is here on the YouTube courses, and then there is Git and GitHub folder. So now on the VS Code, I'm going to click here on the file, and then I'm going to click here on folder, open folder. Then, because for me, I had saved it on the desktop, I'm going to access it quite easily because I named it well. So I'm going to click on the desktop. Then it is on the YouTube courses. Then now it is Git and GitHub. So you can see I've accessed it quite easily because I organized it very well. So I'm going to open it. And then once I've opened it, now remember for me, I've used this VS Code for quite some time now, so it's having some extra panels, but don't worry about that. So once you have this File Explorer opened, then you're good to go. So we have done what we have opened Git and GitHub. And on this one, I'm going to just use a basic file just to track the code. I'm going to create here a file. I can call it even Python. No, let me use a Python file. For example, let me call it demo.py. We are not going to write like a much. I know maybe you don't have the skills in Python, but don't worry about that. So I'm just going to write some few stuff here just for the sake of illustrating Git and GitHub. So don't worry about that. But then we have also courses for different languages. Or in fact, there's a write-up for this Git full course on nametech.com. The link I think is running there at the bottom. The link is running there at the bottom for the website nametech.com. So now once you have this file, I'm going to use it to illustrate or maybe to demonstrate Git and GitHub. Now the first thing that I will need to do is to have that command line tool, the CLI, and we've been using it, we've been opening externally, like for example, you went to the search, and then you looked for command prompt or PowerShell or terminal, but then here on the VS Code, because when we were installing it, we allowed it to access the path, the environment variable, so we're able to access it, and also we allow the third parties to access it. So now when you open this VS Code, then you click here on the terminal, then now the new terminal here is going to open, the CLI is going to open here the embedded, but then now we also have the one that we have just enabled when we were installing Git. So you'll click on this drop down, then you'll see now we have bash, Git bash. So this Git bash is now, we're using it here as an embedded terminal within our the VS Code. Let me try to repeat again. By the way, in case, for example, something misses you, you can always go back, you can always move the video some few seconds behind, then you're going to capture. In case something you don't get it right, you can always pause or maybe just go back and then you're going to capture everything well. So again, I'm going to click here on the terminal, and then I'm going to click on the new terminal, and then it's going to open the default terminal for you. Mine it is a command prompt, the default terminal. Maybe it could be PowerShell on your end, but then you might want to switch to bash. I want us to switch to this Git bash here. This Git bash. I'm going to do away with this other one for simplicity, like to make our work easier. And then now the other thing is that you are going to do is to have also another extension. Okay, actually let me not talk about that extension at the moment because I want us to understand this code, everything. But then the extension is called the Git lens. Just such, let me have just mentioned it. So like you could, at the moment it will be here, but then look for extensions panel here. When you open it, then search for Git lens. Git lens. Now, when you have this extension, mine is already installed, so you click on it, and then you're going to click on the install. But then for me, because I already have it, so I'll not need to do it again, to install it again. But then once you have that extension, like it's going to help you know the status of your code in real time. And sometimes even if you want, like for example, if you wanted to merge the conflicts, we'll talk about those things in a few also, like it can as well help you on that. But here we have just opened this file. I'm going to explain everything how to do it with code. So once you have this Git, or anytime you're going to install Git in your system, the first thing you want to do is to configure your emails and the username within your system, because I said Git is going to track not only the code but also who made those changes to your code. So you need to configure the details, the username, so that are you able to also trace someone who made those changes? Because if you want to push, it will be tracking the person who made the changes. So the command here is git config. So this one is not dependent on the project you're trying. Like this is just some general configuration of Git to your system, So the command here it is git config, then dash global if you want to configure it at the global level, global, and then you specify user dot name if you want to provide the user. Now if the name is multi-word, then you will need to write it in quote, in quote, like the opening quote, and then you can say, for example, Nehemiah Wekesa, but then if it is a single word, you don't need to write them in quote. Like for example, let's say it's name tech, you can just say name tech like that without wrapping them in quote. But then if it's a multi-word, make sure that you are wrapping them under the quote. So the command, once again, it is git config dash global user.name, then name tech like that. So this is to configure the username. Now for the email, so you just change here from name to email, then your email. Now this is my Gmail. This is my Gmail. Let me use my Gmail. So this is my Gmail, and then you are going to click enter. So once you've done that, how do you check if you have configured it well? Let me try to create this, move it up here. So to check if it is configured well, then you are going to use this command git config, then dash list, git config hyphen or dash list. Then it's going, sorry, should be git config then dash list. Then it's going to list. Okay, don't know why. Now, by the way, if you want to clear this history here, you're going to write this command clear, just clear like that. Then it's going to clear this history. Actually, it's not deleting what you've written, but then I'll just clear in the workspace on this CLI. So let me run, click enter. So the command, it is git config, then dash list. Then it's going to list for you your configuration, and as you can see, actually here at the bottom we have the username configured successfully, then have the email. So these are the ones, these are global configuration, so you don't need actually to worry about all this. But then what we have configured here, it is the username and the email. So this is very key anytime you're going to initialize Git. So let me again clear. I say that this command you're not deleting but then clearing. How do you know that it's deleting and not clearing? Let me try to run it first. So on your keyboard, there are those arrow keys pointing up and down. So when you click the up arrow key, you can see we are retrieving the previous commands. You can see it is pulling the previous command. Then now the arrow key that points downward is going to pull the latest commands you had written on that CLI. So that command is just clearing the history, not deleting what we had already written earlier. So now this is it. Like those are just general configuration, those are global configuration. But then now back to the folder that I would have created called Git and GitHub. So at the moment it's called a directory, just a normal folder. If you want to make it a repository, then you will need to initialize Git here. It's like you're trying to add Git to this specific directory, and when you add it, it will be called a repository. So how do you initialize Git on this folder and make it a repository? You're going to write this command called git init git init, just that command git init to initialize a repository here. It's going to initialize an empty repository here. So when you run this git init, so you can see now this, okay, like because I'm using the git lens, but then you can notice that something has changed there. And then here you can see it is using that branch name that we configured when we were installing it. But there you can always change the default branch using this command git config, git config, and then global, global, then init default branch, default branch. I don't know if that's the spelling, default branch, and then the branch name. Maybe you wanted to use demo as your default branch. Then when you do it that way, then your default branch will be demo. So let me try to delete this. Actually, I just want to show you the easiest way. I don't want to use the command at the moment. So on this one, Git and GitHub. So you are going to see this .git if you have enabled this view here. If you have enabled this hidden file, like if you haven't, you'll not see it. But if you have enabled the view hidden files, then you'll be able to see that .git. So let me try to delete it again, and then now I will try to reinitialize again. So I'm going to open this terminal. I'm going to switch to bash, and then I'll try to reinitialize it again. So I'm going to say git init. So now it's going to use what? It's going to use demo. So you can see now my default is demo. So that's how you're able to change the default branch. But then you might want to go with the master, the default one that you configured when you're installing it. So this is to initialize Git on this system, but then we are not tracking anything, by the way. The command that you can use to check the status of your code is called the git status. And at the moment, as you can see, it's telling me untrack. So these files are being they are not tracked at all. We are not tracking them. So it's telling me untracked. So we have just initialized Git on this folder, but then we are not tracking the files that are within that folder. That's why I can see it's telling me the files are not tracked. So how do you track the files? To track a file, you're going to use this command git add, then a file name. For example, the file is demo.py here. So I'm going to say demo.py. Then when I run, then you can see, because I'm using the git lens, I can be able to see this A, and then on this text that has shown up, there at the end is telling me index added. So because I'm using the extension, otherwise you can use this git status, and then you can see now the status has changed, and then this file is being tracked. Now, how do you, for example, let's say you track these files by mistake, you want to untrack them. So if you want to untrack, then the command here is git rm to remove, but then cached, then you specify the file you want to remove. Here it is demo.py. Then I can see when you try to run out this command for the git status, you can see it is telling me now the file is untracked. Now, what if you have several files? You want to track them at a go, instead of like doing one by one, tracking individual file one by one, like you want to track everything. So what you'll do, you can go to this. Okay, like let me try to create some files. Let me call it, for example, maybe repo.py, just some random files. Let me create another one. For example, I can call it for example, main.py. Let me also create a notebook file. Okay, I don't know where I'm clicking. It should be here. For example, main.notebook file, which is ipynb, or I can also create some styling, maybe or a JavaScript file, for example, script.py. So I have several files. So you'll notice that when you are trying to track these files and then you want to do it one by one, it's going to be quite hectic. So how do you track all these files in order to go? You can use this command git add, then -all to track all the files there. Git add, then -all. Okay, let me show you another way. First of all, let me untrack all of them first. So git remove by there you notice that these files are within this folder called Git and GitHub. So if you want to remove all of them at a go, then you can do them recursively. So you can say git rm, then dash cached. Then because these files are within a folder, you can specify this dot to stand for a current directory, which is Git and GitHub. But then since you want to remove to untrack all the files there, you will need to do it recursively. So we'll begin with the -r to specify you want to do it recursively, and then now you specify the folder where you want to remove the files. Then when you do it this way, you can see now all these files have been removed. And then you try to use the status, git status. Okay, clear, should be clear. When you do the git status now, when you do the git status, you can see all these files are not tracked. And I want to demonstrate how to track with another way without using the git add -all. So you can say git add, then dot. When you just say this dot, remember dot stand for the current directory, of which is Git and GitHub. So when you say git add, then the current directory, it means that you want to track everything that are within this current directory, of which here it is Git and GitHub, the current directory where you are trying to run this Git. So it's going to track everything within that folder. So when you just write here this dot, and then it's going to track everything. So you can use git add, then -all, or I use git add, then the period. Now what if there are some files you don't want to track, and remember, anytime you're going to use this git add, then a dot, or a git add, then -all, it's going to literally track all the files within that folder, within that directory. So how do you exclude some files so that when you run this command, you'll not track the sensitive file that you don't want to expose? Because I say that later we are going to talk about GitHub, and it's also a collaboration platform. And let's say you had some secret details that are just using to maybe run your application locally, and you don't want to expose those information. You don't want to expose this information to another developer, because they can use it to harm you, or maybe to sell your data, or whatever reason they could do. So you don't want to do it to share it that way, but then you want to use that command, the easiest command, to track all the files at a go. So within now the Git, we have a command, a file called the .git gnome. So the file is called the .git ignore. .git ignore. So this .git ignore, you can list the files you don't want to track them. Now remember, these files I have already tracked them, so even if I will add them here, they are already being tracked, so there will be no change. So if you want to ignore, to list the files that you don't want to track, you will need to, they should be in untracked state kwanza. They should be in the untracked state, so that you can be able to list them here, so that it will not be tracked. So once it is tracked, it is forever tracked. Unless you remove from being tracked, then that's when you can be able to list them here. And such a file could be, for example, a .env file, maybe where you're going to list your sensitive credentials within it. So let me first of all untrack all of them. And what is the command again? Git rm, and then -- cached, and then recursively, and then dots. so like that. And then I want to list the files that I don't want to track them. So on this git ignore, and the first one here it is dot, sorry, the first one here it is dot env. The first one here it is dot env, the file that I don't want to track. Let's assume that we also don't want to share this script. So I'm going to say script.py, script.py. So it's going to not track this file as well, this script.py. So, and then maybe another one, let's assume that you also have a folder, maybe it's a media folder, let's call it media. Let's say you're using the SQLite database locally, but then you're pushing maybe your project on the cloud, then maybe it is using another database, so you want it to use like the database served on a cloud somewhere. So basically in that case you can just go to this okay, to the git ignore, where is it, then I will list the files or the folder I don't want to track them. Now within this folder, maybe let me try to add in some files. For example, video dot mp4 or mp3 or mp4, whatever. Let me have a Photoshop file. They are quite large. So for example, mockup.psd. So I have like a heavy files here. I have heavy files there. So if I will not want to track everything there, then I can just list the folder name, which is media. Now the folder does not have the extension, so I'll just write media without any extension, or maybe I can say / like that, though it's not necessary, but whatever way, you're going to list them here. So when you have listed all the files you don't want to track, then when you run this command git add all -all, or I use that period, then it's going to track everything, but then it's going to exclude the files that you have not included in the git ignore. So this one is going to help your work much easier, like without worrying how to exclude the files and all that, because you have done it beforehand. You have listed them in the git ignore, so it will not be tracked. So actually you're going to see them here locally, but then now when you'll be pushing on the cloud, it will not go. In fact, when I try to run this command git status here, git status, you can see it is not tracking the media, the .env, the script. But remember, the git ignore file itself will be tracked. But then now the files that you have listed in the inside will not be tracked. Yeah, so I believe that is clear. So I want to talk about how you modify your files and also how you're able to track those changes. Now by there, I want you to notice this A here, because I'm using actually the extension. So on this demo, or maybe whatever, let me try to use this notebook file here, and then I'm going to use this Python. Then let me try to create another code for, let me try to write here B, and then let's use just a simple Python script here. Then I can say, for example, A plus B, and then I'm going to, where do I run this one? So when I run, so this is just a simple Python script, but then what you notice here, this file has been modified. How do you confirm the file has been modified? You're going to run this command git status, and then you'll see that on the main.ipynb, it is modified, the status is modified. So what do you handle such a case? Anytime you modify a file, you will need again to do the git add. But then now the short command is -- all to track all the files, including this one. Although it's only that we have modified one file, but then you can just run this git add, then all is going to just track that new file that you have added. So you can see now it's back to being tracked, added. So now once you have tracked, how do you save this state? Let's say this code is working. You can see it has executed successfully with some status code of success here. It has executed well. So how do you save this state if it was working well? So basically, to save, you can use the command. You can use the command. Oh, by the way, guys, sometimes let's say you just want to untrack a specific format of files. You know, sometimes you might be adding some new files and you have forgotten to add them in the .env. Let's say you have some some script. Let me call it, for example, bash.sh or whatever. So let me just have like those files, for example, maybe directory .sh or whatever. For example, let's say you just want to target specific files so that you don't track, so that even if you're going to add in another one in the future, you don't need to go back to this git ignore and try to track them again to leave them there. So you can be able to as well track the extension of the files. So for example, if you do not want to track anything that has to do with the sh, you can write this as steric, which stands for arbitrary. It could be contain any other thing at the start, but it ends with the extension .sh, with the sh. So this one is going to check everything that has the .sh, and then it's not going to track them. So anytime I'm going to modify, or you can see now, let me try to add in a new one. But you can notice this one doesn't have that extension at the end. Let me have another one, for example, main.sh. So anytime I'm going to create, I will not need to go to the .git ignore and try to list them there. So this is how you can be able to track also the files with some certain extension. So when you do the git add dash hash all, okay, git, and then you do the git status, you can see it's not tracking those new files that we have created there. So this is quite useful in the event, for example, you just want to track those specific files, so that in future, in case you add such a file and then you forget to add into the .git ignore, it's going to automatically be untracked. So once you have tracked the file, so how do you save that state of your code? So basically, to save, you're going to use a command called git commit, and I will say this one is going to like save the version of a certain code and also who made those changes. So the command, it is git commit, then -m, then you're going to specify, for example, the name of the commit, like for example, let me call it my first commit. Okay, like actually these messages are going to help you very much in the event, for example, you wanted to revert to an old commit. So the message you will be able to know to help you understand maybe what was the change, what was working at that time. So for example, if this was the first commit, when I am going to run this command, then Git is going to generate a unique ID for these specific changes. Sorry. So when I'm going to run here, you can see now we no longer have those issues like before. So now these files are being tracked. Okay, like no, we have saved. So how do you confirm the commit we've made? You're going to use this command git log. So git log is a command to check or list all the repository you have made. So you can see we have some unique ID for this commit. What if you wanted to make some amendments? You wanted to make some amendments to this commit. So what you do, let's say you wanted to modify the name to the latest commit. You say git commit, and then you'll be using -amend, and then -m, and then for example, my very first commit. So when you run this one, it's going to update that commit you had saved to with a new name. So the ID is still the same, only that you have made some amendments to the name. So when you run this git log, then you can see now it is displaying my very first commit. So we have made what? We have made some amendments to it. So those like now saves. Like for example, you have taken a snapshot of your current code which is working well. Now let's say we have modified again. Then let's say assume apart from using this code this way, let's say you wanted to use a function. So let me say for example, create a function, for example, arithmetic or something like that, a function, and then it will be having some, okay, let me not even add in some arguments there. Let me just write this code like that. Then of course I'll need to push there, sensitive to indentation. So this is a function there. Then I want to call this function with the same name. We actually call a Python function with the same name. It doesn't have any argument there, just a basic one. So now I'm trying to call to use the same logic, but then within a function. So I've made some changes to this file again. So I will need to make some save again. So this is the second like a version of the code which is working. You can see I've gotten the success message status 200. So what you do again, anytime you modify a file, you need again to do the git add, then again you save it, git commit, and then -m to specify or maybe identify where git is located, and then for example, let me call it second commit. And by the way, guys, you want to use a descriptive message, like for example, let's say you are fixing a bug, you can be detailed on the message you're trying to use, so that in the event, for example, you wanted to revert back, it will be clear. But then for demo, I'm trying to use this first, second commits and stuff. But then when you do it this way, I've made what? A second commit. How do you confirm they are made, they are saved? You're going to use the git log. When I run the git log, you can see now I have my very first commit. We have also second commit. So what if you wanted to revert back to the old commit like this one? So you can use a command called the git checkout or git switch. Let me clear here again. You need to first of all copy this ID, this hash, because this is what you are going to reference when you want to switch to another commit. So what you will do now, right here, git checkout or a git switch. By the way, they are the same thing. Git checkout. Then you specify the commit ID, the hash. So you notice on this second commit we had this function, but then the old one we didn't have it. So when I run this command git checkout and then that ID, then it's going to take me to the old state of the code which we didn't have the commit. So you can see why this is very helpful. This is very helpful. Now in the event, for example, I wanted now to go back to the latest, I can just specify the branch name, which is demo. So git checkout. Now the latest, you don't need to specify the ID, you can just specify the branch name, which is demo, and then it's going to bring you to the latest latest commit. That's how you're able to switch to different commits, and yeah, basically that's how and I'm intentionally omitting some other things that are quite also useful, because I'm assuming that I'm training the beginners here. So there are some things that are including also checking the differences between commits and some other things, but I'm intentionally avoiding them so that I don't want to make a beginner find it difficult. I want to just show you what you'll be using most of the time when you'll be working with the Git and GitHub. So far you've understood the commit. The work of the commit is like you're trying to save a snapshot of your code, and the event, for example, you wanted to revert to any commit, by the way, you're able to do that. In the event, for example, you wanted to revert to a specific commit, you can be able to just go back to it. Like I don't know if I have that ID here. So if you wanted to revert, you use this command. I'm not sure if it's going to work. Git revert, git revert, and then the commit hash. So you can see I've reverted to the old commit. So I've switched now, this is my latest, but then I've reverted to that commit. So you need to do the commit, you need to do the git add, then maybe you can say, oh no, git commit now, because these are already being tracked. So you can say git commit, then dash m, and then maybe reverting, something like that. Okay, first of all you need to track them. Git add before you track you commit them. Yeah, so like that, then you have you're able to revert to any commit that way. Yeah, so you can see now we have yeah, so we are in this state where we don't have any of those files that we had, like for example main.py or whatever. So we have reverted back to the old status. Let me try to do the git log, and then let me just go back to this commit because it has some files that are quite useful that I was trying to use. So git checkout. Okay, I need to clear first of all git checkout, and then so now we have these files there, we have the files there, but then now the files that were in the git ignore, they are not being tracked. That's why you're able to see they are not listed there, although we had explained about that. I don't want to go back there and recreate. I just use that for demo purposes, but then at least you can see we have those kind of files. So this is on the git commit. Now let me switch back to the old the latest git switch. By the way, you can as well use the command switch, and then switch, and then demo. Mine is demo. So I've explained the commits very well, and also how to switch, and also how to revert to any, or maybe to revert to any of the commit with the files that were there, and all that. So what if you wanted to use another branch? So I want to talk about the Git branches. I want to talk about the Git branches. So branches, this is like a working environment. So like this project is currently running on this branch called demo, but you can have another branch where you're going to work from. And how do you create those branches? Then we're going to talk about how you can do both. First of all, to list the branches you have, the command here is git branch. Git branch is a command that are going to list for you all the branches you have, and at the moment we only have this demo branch, so it's going to list only the demo branch. Now in the event, for example, you wanted to know the branches that are okay, like sometimes let's say you had pushed your code on the cloud, and maybe there are branches at the cloud, and then also there are branches here locally. So let's say you are specifically targeting the branches which are locally, then you write here -r. Okay, -r, this -r for remote branches, but then at the moment, since you do not have any remote branch, it's not going to list anything. But then now for the local, by default it is this one. But then if you wanted to know both the local and the remote branches, then you will write a for all, so it will list those that are in the cloud and also those that are in locally here. So that's how you list the branches. But how do you create a new branch? To create a new branch, you're going to write this command git branch, and git branch, and then the branch name. Now let me call it master. Now I'll be using this file mostly to track the changes. Git branch, then master. So when I run this command, it's going to create that branch. And how do you confirm they are there? You can be able to list them using this command git branch -all. And you can see we have master, we have the demo, and the asterisk is going to show what is active, and you can also see what is active here at the end. So currently I'm at the the demo branch. How do you switch to different branches? You can be able to use the command git switch. So this is the newer syntax. In the old way we were using, and actually I've been using, the checkout. So git switch or checkout, then to that branch you have just created called master. And then now you can see we are now at the master. So we have switched to the master branch. So that's how you're going to switch to different branches. We are going to switch to different branches. Let me create another one, and then I will demonstrate how you're able to delete. Okay, before we talk about deleting a branch, on this master, I want to, let's say, introduce another variable here, or maybe here at the bottom, let me call it C, and then I can have example 30, then I here plus C. So guys, I've intentionally made changes to this branch called master. Anytime you modify a file, you need to make the changes. You need to say also git add. You need to track first of all, and then once you track those files, then you can be able to do a commit git commit -m, maybe changed in master branch or something like that. So I've made changes to the master branch. Now guys, I want you to notice these changes here when I'll be switching back to the demo branch. So the command is what? Git checkout or switch. Let me use switch. Git checkout, and I want to go to demo. I want you guys to notice the changes here that I've made. Here I've introduced C, but then now the master, the demo, it didn't have those C. So when I'll switch to demo, so you can see we no longer have that C because the master was like a different environment, totally different environment. So the changes that we're going to make on the demo will not have any effect on the demo. Like it's just like an isolated, environment of your project. So those are branches for you, and how you make a change to a branch is not going to affect another one. Now, what if you wanted to delete a branch? I'm going to create here another branch, and then I'll try to delete it. So let me create a branch git, a branch, and then I can call it, for example, test. So let's try to list the branches we have by running this git branch, and then you can see we have test. What if I wanted to delete the test branch? So to delete to delete a branch is a git branch, and then -d, and then the branch name, for example, it is test. You're going to delete it. So you can see now when you try to run this git branches, so you'll not see the test there. It is deleted. Now the rules for deleting a branch: first of all, you cannot delete the branch where you are currently at. It's like you're trying to cut a tree, then you're trying to cut a branch where you have seated on it. So it is impossible because you'll be affected as well. So what you'll need to do is okay, let's try to delete that. So let's try to say git branch -d, and then this demo, which is our currently branch. So when I try to delete this demo, I'm going to get the error here that cannot delete branch demo by work tree, and this is the path to it. So basically you cannot delete the branch where you are currently at. And then another thing is let's say you had made a change to the other branch. Let's say it is master. Remember here on the master, let me just git switch to master. On the master, we have these changes. We have made some changes to the master, of which this master, we created this branch master from the demo. So let's say we are back to the demo, and then we wanted to switch to delete the master branch. So we'll get an error when I'm trying to delete git branch dash delete, and then now the branch name, which is master. I'm going to get here an error because it's like it wants to confirm if you are sure. Let's say you had made, like, assume there's some projects you even take months or even weeks to work on them, so there are much changes you have made there. So assume that you made those changes and then you want to delete it. It will mean that you are losing 1 month or maybe a 1 week worth uh, worth the code, so you can see the effect that you'll be having. So when you try to delete it, it's going to give you this warning, error, the branch is not fully merged, like it's more for confirmation to confirm if you are sure you want to delete. So if you want to delete it, then you need to use now this capital D. So this will tell Git like you are sure what you're trying to do and you want to intentionally delete it with all the changes it had. So when you run it this way, then that branch will be deleted. That branch will be deleted completely. When you do the git branch, then you'll see we no longer have the master branch at all. So again, I want to create the master branch, but I want to create and also switch to that branch. So there's a shortcut for that, like you create and at the same time you switch to that branch you have created. So I'm going to say git branch, and then I'm going to write here -b, and then I'm going to call it master. So this command is going to create the branch called master, and then at the same time it's going to switch to that branch. So when I run this command, okay, sorry, let me clear. Sorry about that. So the command here, it is not branch, actually not the word branch, but checkout. So you're going to write here git checkout, and then a -b, and then now the branch name. So this command is going to create the branch called master with the help of this one, and then at the same time we're using this checkout to switch to it. So it is git checkout -b, then now the branch name. So this one is going to create the branch, and then at the same time it's going to switch to that branch. That's why you can see now we have jumped from a demo, now we are currently at the master. So this command is going to create with the help of this -b, then add the checkout to switch to it. So I believe that's clear, and we understood branches and also how to switch to different branches. If you wanted to create and switch by the switch command, then you will need to type, for example, git switch, but then I will be using now -c, then now the new branch, for example, test. It is going to create and then switch to that branch, but you can either use the checkout or maybe this switch, or manually create and switch to it later. So what if you wanted to rename a branch? If you want to rename a branch, then you can use this command git git branch, and then okay, branch, git branch, and then -m, and then the old name. I don't know if it's going to apply on this current branch. Let me try to test first of all. Let me say test. Then now the new branch name, for example, I call it the test. Okay, yeah, basically it has worked. So I've modified, I've renamed the current branch here. So from test now to the test. So when I do now the git branch, you can see now we don't have this test. We have renamed it to the test. Yeah, so when you're trying to rename, I see it allows you to rename it even if you are in the that branch. So this is quite clear. I don't want to go to other things, but then sometimes, let's say we are in this the test. In fact, let me do away with it. Let me delete it, or okay, let it be there. So I'm going to make this machine that this my main branch, maybe it was demo. Yeah, it was demo, and let me git because I want to talk about something called conflicts. Git checkout, then a demo. So on the demo, I have this code, but I want to let me modify this file. Maybe I can try to replicate the same thing. Maybe let me try to just modify this one. And this time I'm going to use, for example, addition, and then I'm going to call it with addition as well. So guys, you notice that I'll modify. Let me have even C a D, then I have maybe C, then a D. So I've made some changes to the demo branch. I'll need to do the adding git to track them. Git add, git commit -m, then maybe, for example, modified notebook or whatever. Yeah, like that. And then so I've modified on the demo, and then I'm going to go to the, don't know what is the branch name. Was it master? I think it was master. So I want to switch to master, and if you notice, I modified the line up to number, up to, okay, like I have I've modified like this part, the second part. Actually, it's not showing the lines because this is notebook, but then if it was something like Python, it could also show the lines, that the number of lines. So let me switch to master, and then master. Now on the master, I'm going to modify the same thing, this line, but then now on the master I'm going to maintain arithmetic. Remember on the demo it was addition. So I'm going to track them, then I commit, git commit. So I should have shown you how to merge them even before I demonstrate how to solve the conflicts. By the way, I think let me not talk about the conflicts before I demonstrate how to merge. Let me intentionally, okay, let me commit, and then a -m, then maybe okay, modified, something like that, modified master. So of course the good thing is that I have another branch called the test. So I want to switch back to the test, git checkout, and the test. So in the test I don't have those changes, and I want to bring these changes here. So you will need to merge them. So you need to specify the file where you want to merge those changes to it. Now, first of all, the rule when you want to merge, you want to make sure that you are at the branch where you want to bring the changes to it. So you should be at the branch where you want to bring the changes to it. Like in this case, I want to bring the changes to this branch called the test. So once you are in the test, so you can specify now the branch where you want to bring the changes from. So you can say git branch, the command is git branch. So in this case, it will mean that I'll be bringing the changes to the test, but then from another branch, which is now demo. Okay, git merge, not branch actually, git merge, and then the branch name. So the branch was demo. So in this case, it means that I want to bring the changes that are in the demo to this current branch where I'm currently at, called the test. So when I run, you can see now I have those changes to this file. With the help of this git merge, so I brought the changes that were in the demo. I brought them in the test. So I have the changes here in the test. So there's something that I wanted to demonstrate. Now on this main, I believe it's not. Let me try to untrack it in the .git ignore. Let me find where is my .git ignore. Let me see. The .git ignore is not showing here. dot git ignore. And then here I want to list, okay, I don't want to list these, okay, let me try to create another one by the, let me just create, for example, a demo.py, and maybe I can copy the codes here. So here I have this code here, and I'm going to do the git add, git commit, -m, then maybe demo. So I made these changes to this master branch because there's something that I wanted to illustrate very well on the margin. So, and then let me try to create another one, maybe another branch, and switch to it. So git checkout, git checkout, then dash, because I want to create the branch as well, -b, and then now the branch, maybe I can call it, for example, let me just assume that maybe, let me call it Python, in lack of a proper word to use. I'm going to create a branch and then switch to it called Python. So in the Python, I want to modify this same code, but then this time I want to say, for example, addition. Let me call it addition, and maybe change the values there. For example, I can call it x, y, and then this is x, this is y, and this is y. Then I'm going to save git add, git commit, maybe I can say addition. So so once I've done that, then I want to switch back to master. So I've switched to master, but then also on the master I want to have the same code up like there. I've modified line number from number 6 all the way to 9. So here, when I will, maybe I can have, let me call it, for example, subtraction. Then let me call it, for example, maybe m, n, m, and then here is n. So like at the same number of lines, but then it has different code on different branches. So again, let me try to do the git adding, git add, then maybe I can call it, for example, subtraction. So subtraction. So I've made changes on both branches, master, and the other one was what? Python. Yeah, Python. So I want to switch back to Python. Git checkout Python. So Python I'm using addition, and then on the master it was using subtraction master. So on this master branch, assuming that I wanted to bring changes, I wanted to merge with the Python branch. So I'm going to get here conflicts because I've modified the same number of lines, the same lines that I've also modified on the other one. So if I want to merge, I'm going to get the conflict, like Git is going to struggle to know which one to maintain, which one to discard, because I have modified the same lines. Because I said that Git also track code, literally everything that you're going to write is going to track them line by line. So if I want to merge, git merge, then Python, then here I'm going to get this conflict because you're trying to modify the same line. So there's the current here, it was using the subtraction, then this other one was using the addition with different changes with different code. So whenever you're having this conflict, like a Git, it cannot complete for you. But then because I'm using the library here called the extension called the Git lens, I'm able to accept any of these one, but you need to resolve them manually. But with the help of the tool, you're able to either accept in inakuja, the one that you're bringing on board, or maybe your code, your current one. So for example, if you want to accept the incoming, you can just click on that one. Otherwise, you'll need to resolve them manually. For example, you need to delete, maybe this is the incoming. Maybe you want to remove yours. You're trying to be generous, you're trying to remove yours, and then you need to resolve these things manually. You need to resolve them manually. Once you have resolved, then you need to track the files. Git add, then git commit dash solved the conflict. So you can see how serious. Remember, we are demonstrating with some few lines of code, but then if it was a complete system, now solving the conflict will be taking another time, many times that you could have used that time to work on something else, but then now you're trying to fix on the issues. So like on collaboration, GitHub team came up with something called the issues. There are some actions we're going to discuss on the GitHub. So you're able to create the issues. The issues allows you to assign someone to work on specifically a specific part. Let's say it is a front-end application. So you can tell someone to work on the header. You tell another person to work on the footer, then another person maybe to work on the hero section. So you are assigning them something to work on them. So those are the issues you'll be creating and assigning people to work on those, so that when you're trying to merge, like there will be no conflict because everyone was working on their separate thing. So like when you'll be merging, there will be no such conflicts. So we are going to go to the GitHub now. We are going to go to the GitHub account, how to create the GitHub account and all that. So first of all, you will need to go to github.com, and then now if you do not have an account, it's going to show you a button to sign up, and if you have an account, it's going to tell you to sign in. Now for me, I already have an account. So for me, mine is signing in, to sign in. So when I go to this profile here, so mine it is signing in. But then for you, if it's your first, okay, let me try to sign out. I don't know if it's going to require me, because there's a lot of authentication required when I want to sign in. I don't want to do that. But then for you, for the first time, what you want to do is to click on the sign up, then create an account. If you have ever managed to create any social media account like Twitter, Facebook, or whatever, so it's just the similar approach. You need to provide the username, the email, the first name, last name, and the email address. And then on that email address, they might send you some code just to confirm or verify your account. Once you're verified, then you'll be able to log in. Now, when you log in, you might see some different interface, because for me, I think I've worked on it for some time, mostly for helping. Like this account is mostly for students. Like it's not a personal, it's not a personal portfolio. Like it is just an account that I usually use to teach my students. But there is an ongoing uh, class for software engineering and also data science. In case you're interested, you can contact me via the number you are seeing running there at the bottom. But now once you have the GitHub profile, you'll be able to see something called repository. Repository is here at the top. You'll be able to see a button called repository. If not, you'll see something like a plus. On this plus, there will be a drop down. When you click on it, it's going to show you new repository. So wherever you are, for example, you are in the repository, it will tell you a new repository. Or if you are, let me go back. If you are you're using this plus, then you're clicking here new repository. then you can do that. Then for example, let me call it, for example, Git. I'm going to call it Git, and GitHub, let me call it Git and GitHub, Git and GitHub for demo purposes. And then you can have the description, and then you can make it private or public. What is the difference? Public, anyone can be able to copy your code or fork, but then now when you make it private, you are the only one that you want to access it. Now for a client project, let's say you're trying to push on like you have a project for any organization, make sure that it is private. Don't make it public, because someone can be able to access the code and then do something that's not quite right on their code base. So make it private in this case, because it is just for demo. And then click on the create a repository. Like I leave away everything you see here because we already have our Git Gnome and all that. So I click on the this create repository. Then they are going to create for you a link for that Git repository. So this is the link to this one. Make sure that this link, you're using the link that ends with the .git, not this one here at the top. Make sure you're using this link that ends with the word .git. So this is the one that we are going to copy. So first of all, you have created this Git repository, but then how do you link? We said that GitHub is more of a cloud repository, or maybe an archive, or maybe a cloud platform where you are saving now your code. So how do you link now the code that are in the computer, or maybe your local Git repository now to the cloud GitHub repository? So what you do, you can be able to try to add them here locally. But then before that, you want to make sure that you are in the main branch. How do you create a main branch? To create a main branch, you're going to use this command git branch, and then I will use now the capital M to create the main branch, and then now the main branch, and then now for the main branch, I can call it main. Let me just call it main like this. I've created this main branch. You can see it has created the main branch, and then it has switched to it. So the command is git branch -m then main. Then here you're able to we are now at the main branch. So we want to add that branch which was here on cloud. We want to add it locally. So how do you do that? You're going to use this command. So now to add in the remote repository, what you'll need to do is to write this command git add. Git add is for local, but then for a remote repository, you need to say git remote add. Git remote add, then you say origin, and then you provide the link to that repository you have created. So you need to do it this way: git remote add origin, then add the link to your repository. When you do it, then it will be added to your local repository here. So how do you confirm you have it in your local repository? You can be able to run this git remote -v. When you run it, you can see both the fetch and push origin is using what this repository that we have added. Now assuming that you wanted to add in another repository to replace the current one, then it's going to be tricky in the event, for example, you have this current repository, unless you remove it. How do you remove this remote repository you have tracked? You can say git remote remove origin, then origin. What is origin? This one that we have just added here by doing the git remote add origin. So if you want to remove that origin, then you're going to say git remote remove origin like that. Then when you run now this command to view the remote, this one, you'll not be able to see here, it's not listing. And now you're able to add in a new repository in the event, for example, you wanted to add. But then now we are going to use this one. Let me just have this code to add in this current one. So I have it in the system. So once you have it, remember our local code we had already tracked. In the event, for example, you modify in future, like for example this one, you modify maybe, you need to add in to track them the way you are doing earlier by doing the git add. Remember the one that we have just done here, just to link the remote repository to the local computer here, but everything else is going to work the same way, and that operation just once. Like you are going to add the remote repository only once. So once you've tracked them, then your local repository, the code will be tracking the way you've been doing. Git add, then dot or all, and then git commits dash l, maybe modified demo.py. But there I said you need to be very descriptive on the changes you have made. So when you run it this way, you will have saved. So how do you upload these changes now to this GitHub account? Because we have just linked locally, but we need to upload it. So before you upload, you need to provide some authentication. And the easiest way, first of all, is to configure to sync your VS Code with the GitHub. So you can click here at the bottom, the accounts, then you can be able to sync your GitHub account to this VS Code. If you don't want to do that, let me show you another way. If you want to upload this code, you need to use this command. Git push is a command to upload. Git push, and then you say origin, and then now main. So if you do not want to be writing this code all the time, like origin, main, and all that, you can set the upstream. So you write here git push, then space dash u, git push dash u to set the upstream, so that in future you'll just be saying git push origin. Now, if it is your first time, when you run this code, it's going to prompt you with a small window to sign in to your GitHub account. But then for me, because I've used it most of the time, it's not going to require authentication because I've configured my VS Code with my GitHub account. But then if you haven't done that, then it's going to prompt you. They're going to prompt you with some small window to sign into your GitHub account. So when they do that, make sure that you sign in, and then it will allow you to upload. So let me run. When I run, you can see this code that we are here locally have now been uploaded to the cloud. When I will refresh this at the end, you'll see that I have those code here. So I have this code here, which was locally. You can see it's now here, but then you can see it is also showing some commits. For example, this commit was made 40 minutes ago and all that, and then now the current one, which is this demo, was made 2 minutes ago. So it's going to track those changes, and we demonstrated how you're able to switch to different commits you made. Yeah, so guys, basically that's how you that's how you're going to upload these changes to the cloud. Now, what if you had made some changes on the cloud? You want to pull them here. Let's say this demo file, we want to make some change. Let me try to click on it, and then I click on this edit file, and then I want to modify. So if you want to upload this one, it will be very hectic. It will not be possible, by the way, if you want to again push these changes to the cloud. So you'll need to first of all pull what is in the GitHub account to be here locally, so that you can be able to push yours, so that you can avoid the conflicts. So how do you download the changes that were there in the cloud? So what you're going to do is use this command, git pull. Git pull then is going to download. Remember, push is uploading, and then pull is now to download those changes. And I want you to notice line number 14 onwards. When I run this one, you can see line number 14 onwards has been modified. Some changes has been made. Now remember, if you wanted to make changes from one branch to another, you'll be using the fetch command. The fetch is like you're trying to pull also changes from another branch to your other branch. So this is it. But we say the key thing with the GitHub is a collaboration platform. So how do you collaborate? Now, assuming that this is the owner of the code base, this this username tag is the owner of the code base. But then for you, you wanted to copy that code to your account and then make changes to that code, and then you wanted to request a pull to the original author so that you want to contribute. By then, that's how that is how contribution is being made, or maybe how people contribute to any open source program. So I want to demonstrate that before you try to collaborate, you need to have access to the repository and then this fork. This fork is like you want to copy this repository to be in your own account, in your own profile. Now for me, since I have many organizations I've been working with, and I also have some organization just for learning purposes. So this name tag is going to be like my primary GitHub account that has this original code, and then I want to copy it to another organization. So I'm going to use this fork, and this is to copy, and then at the branch, the what do we call it, the repository name is going to be that way, and then I will need to select the owner. So for me, remember the current one, it is this one, but then now you can be able to look for, like for example, this is for students. I usually use it for teaching students, but then now for you, you might be copying from another source. Let's say it is pandas somewhere else, then you want to pull it to your own repository. Then this the same approach. You'll be going there, and then you'll be forking, and then you'll be making some changes, and then you'll be contributing. I'm going to illustrate that one. So I've forked to this name tag student. So when I click on the fork, it's going to switch me to that. So you can see now I'm no longer the name tag, it is now name tag students with this code that are there. So I've made changes from name tag, Git and GitHub under the branches main now to this name tag student. So how can I make changes to this code? Now once it is yours, you are able to make the changes. So let me click here on the code, and then I'm going to click here to copy the code. Now let me try to create another window here. Let me try to create another window. Okay, another window here, and then on this window I'm going to go to desktop, and then YouTube courses, and then Git and GitHub. But there I could just say Git. Let me call it maybe Git course, or maybe let me call it Git and. Okay, let me just call it forked repository, though I should have organized such that you have a primary folder for Git and GitHub, and then under it you can have now a sample project. But then now because I've already made that error, let me just call it forked repo or repository, like that. So once I've selected that forked repository, so if I want to use it to add in changes, I'll need to have it locally to download them locally. So I'm going to open this terminal again. I'm going to use bash. I'm going to use bash, and then I can be able to copy that code here locally. So how do you clone it? We're going to use this command called Git Clone. Git Clone, then the repository link, but then when you run this code, it's going to also create another folder here with the repository name, that is Git and GitHub, this Git and GitHub folder. But if you do not want to have that folder, you can write what dot at the end to mean that I want to clone the current repository, which is forked repo. So this one is going to download or copy it locally, but then on this current directory here. So when you run into this one, you'll see that the changes will be made here You can see now we have this code locally here. So let's try to modify something, maybe main here. Okay, let me try to modify this Python file. Maybe I want to modify this code. Let me try to duplicate this code, or maybe let me copy it, and then I'm going to have it on the script. So I made some changes there. I'm going to do the git add then git commit -m, then let's say modified scripts. Okay. Scripts like that. So now if I want to push it, because on the original repository I had made the upstream and all that, and also the configuration, like once you clone it, you're able to just push it directly without worrying about the remote origin. You don't worry about that. What is happening? So here what you just need to do is just say git push, because you had already set up the upstream earlier on the other way. So you can just say git push like that, then it's going to make changes. But then this one is going to go to this repository. What is the repository? This nametech student, not nametech.com, not nametech my account, my official GitHub account, this one. So how do you contribute? Like when you're trying to refresh here, you can see here I've made changes to this script. You can see this was modified a second ago, 1 minute ago. So what if you want now to bring those changes that you have made to your script, or maybe to your code base, now to the original author of this guy, of this Nini, nametech github.com. So if you want to contribute there, then you need to do a pull request, or you can click here. But then let me click here on the pull request. So when you click here on the pull request, then it's like now you want to inform the original author of the code that there's something that I want to bring, you want to contribute to the original code base. So you're going to click on the pull request, then you're going to click on the new pull request, and then you can have some message there. First of all, it's going to demonstrate what are the changes that you're trying to bring on board. The first change, it is on this file, script files and all that. So it is going to demonstrate everything there. Like it's going to list everything there. Then you click here on the create pull request. Then you can have the title and also the message to your pull request. What are you trying to bring there? But then for demo, let me try to just write something random there. But then you'll need to be very descriptive, and then you just explain what are the changes that you're trying to bring on board to the original code base, which is nametech, Git, and GitHub. And then this is your current nametech student, Git and GitHub, the branches main. So what you will do, you'll click here on the create pull request. So when you create a pull request, it will notify the author of the code. But then now, since I'm still the author of the account, so just it has directed me here. But then now the author of the code will be able to be notified via email that there's something who wants to contribute there. Then you will need to go through the code base and see the changes they have made. For example, someone was trying to inject something that's going to make, for example, the system to crash. So you need to go through it and inspect. So I'll click here on the script, then it's going to demonstrate all the changes they have made. Now in the event, for example, you feel like something it is unclear, maybe you can specify where that change or maybe the issue is. Then I click there with this plus, then write a comment. For example, you could use best algorithm for this. Okay, like you can write anything there. You can write anything there, and then once, for example, you need clarification or maybe something to be fixed before you merge it, so that review, and the people will be contributing, those who have access to it. Then you can be able to write this review or some comment there, and then you will submit. Then the guy will be able to see the issue that you have raised. Like you can see this part, they will be able to see the issue. Then once you resolve the issue, then you'll click here. Like now you remember here, this is the author of the account. Sorry. So the author of the account now can be able to resolve the issue. For example, if you fix the issue, then the guy can be able to resolve the issue. Once they have resolved the issue, then they can merge. Merge, we talked about it earlier, is like trying to bring the changes that are in the other branch or in the other repository now to your own repository. So when you merge here, you can give it some message and all that. Then when you do a merge, then those changes will be made to your code here. So when I go the other side, you can see now this file which was modified 5 minutes ago, it is now on your name text, not name text student. Now we have merged from this name text student, the main branch. So I'll go back to this main branch, this original one, and then if I want to have the changes there, I'll need to do a git pull. I'll need to run this command git pull now to bring the changes that have been made on the cloud now here. So when I do the git pull, now you can see I have these changes to this computer now. I've brought those changes. Now what if you wanted to make some changes again? Let me copy this code, then let me have this demo maybe, or wherever. Try to make those changes there. Then I'll do the git add git commits -m. Then I maybe added lines added lines. So added some lines there. So I've made those changes. Then I want to push git push. So this person who had copied your code, so for them, they will not need to do a pull request. The one who had made a copy or had forked your repository, they will not need to do a pull request. For them, they will just need to sync. Now let me go to that organizations, and then I'll find the name text students. Let me find the name text students, and then I'll go to the repositories, and then this Git and GitHub. So this guy now on this name text student will not need to do a pull request. Like they will not need the other guy to do a pull request so that they can bring changes to his or her repository. So for them, they can just click on sync fork like this, and then update branch. Then it's going to bring those changes that we had made. You'll be able to have them here, and then you can see added lies. Added lies. Yeah, so you can see now we have that changes that has been made here. So that's how you'll be collaborating. So you've understood the collaboration workflow or how it is done by first of all forking the repository, and then once you have forked the repository, then you will be making changes to that. Okay, you need to clone it to your computer first. You make the changes to the code, then you push it to the cloud. Once you push it to your GitHub account, then you need to do a pull request, sometimes called PR. Then once you do that PR, then the original or the author of the code will be able to see you're trying to make those changes. Then they will be able to review it, and then once they accept it, then they will be able to merge it. Then it will go to the original code base, and then it will run. For example, if it's something that's running, then it will be updated. Now there's something called issues I mentioned earlier. Let's say you wanted to assign someone to work on something. So you will go to your GitHub you have created, then you're able to create what we call issues. So you can see here, there's something called issues here on the original code base. So you're able to assign issues to someone. Let's say it is a front-end application. Let's say you want to have someone to work on the footer, another one to work on the header and something like that. So here you'll be clicking here, create new issue. And then you can have the issue, for example, work on the hero section. and then some description what you should entail and all that, like what are the deliverables and all that. So I'll be having, sorry, you'll be having those instructions there. And then the other thing, you need to assign someone. So at the moment, since I'm only the only person here, I can be able to add in someone. If no, then I can assign. Okay, at the moment I'm still the only person, so there's no need for issues if you're the only person. But then if you have a team, you're able to assign, you're able to create issues only if you have a team. Otherwise, you'll need to assign it to yourself. But then if you assign it to yourself, it's the same as doing it by yourself, like everything. So there's no need. So this one applies if you have someone you're collaborating with, then you can assign them the issue. Then they'll be able to receive some clear instruction, and then this guy will be able to work on it. And then once they have solved, then they'll be able to close the issue, and then um, everything will be will be fine. So guys, basically in a nutshell, this is Git and GitHub workflows. And there's something that sometimes you want to document your code. Sometimes you just want to document your code on this Git and GitHub. Maybe say you wanted to have something to document your code. There's a file called the README, but then I'm not going to go into details about it. Maybe just some few lines, and then I will be good to go. So on this file, I'm going to create another file called README. README. The README files ends with the extension .md for Markdown. MD for Markdown. So this is where you're able to write some code to document your work. But guys, I'm not going to give you everything here because I'm kind of tired also. But it's just some text content. So if you wanted to have a title, you can use a single hash is going to demonstrate this main title. For example, let's say this is my heading, and then for example paragraph, you can write just normal paragraph without anything there. Remember, this is a paragraph, and then maybe this is a list, this is a list, and all that. Guys, I'm not going to go to the details about this one. I think I will be able to create a markdown session on that, but that is really not that significant because these are generally text, like just to document your work. Let me try to add here, git add, and then I git commit -m, then a message. But then guys, I think this one I can give you as your assignment to do some research on the markdown and be able to come. Okay, these are quite useful if you want to document your work. Maybe you are collaborating with other people and you want to document your work. Git push. So let me show you an example for markdown. Okay, first of all, this is an example by itself, the one that I've shown you. So you can see now I'm having this heading, this is a paragraph, and then this is a list. So you can have like so many text there. Now let me show you a very detailed one. So let me go to, for example, what's it called? Django GitHub account. Django, or maybe let me use something like pandas. So this is the pandas. So I want to show you an example of the markdown. I want to show you no, this more of this is PyPy, this is not GitHub. Let me find GitHub account for the pandas. GitHub, yeah, let me say GitHub. So this is the official documentation for pandas here. On it, so this is the code base, and then now here at the bottom, so these are the markdown that I was trying to talk about. So with this you're trying to actually try to demonstrate or maybe explain your code. So these are more texts, don't want to go into that much, but remember, if you wanted to fork this Django, what you just need to do is just to click on fork repository, and then once you fork, then select the owner, the current person, then Okay, for me, I usually I had forked earlier, so I don't need to do that. So guys, you can try to do some research on the Markdown just to document your work. However, guys, this is in a nutshell what you might need to know about Git and GitHub. Remember the other features that I've intentionally not mentioned because they are rarely used. And for me, I always believe like you only need to learn what is relevant, what you'll be using most of the time. Because if you learn many things and you're not going to use all of them, you'll tend to forget everything, and it will be very useless of me to explain something that I will not use maybe later. So guys, this is all you need to require, and that's going to help you on your collaboration and also for version control. So guys, this is it for today, and please subscribe, like, and share the video to your friends, and also join our community, the WhatsApp community. The link it is in the description of this video. Until next time, this is Nehemiah. Goodbye.